What is up, guys? So I had a request to do the MIUI versus the Samsung One UI 2.0. As you can see, just to confirm, you can see we're on MIUI Global 11.0.2 and we're on One UI 2.0 on the Galaxy S10e, and this is the Note 8 Pro. So let's check out dark mode on both these devices. As you can see, I have it already on both of them. As you can see, they're already on the dark theme, but dark mode is not equal on both these devices. So when you go to stuff like let's for instance we go to the browser, so we go to the browser on here. As you can see, it's not dark theme, and as you can see on the Galaxy, it is dark theme. So I did notice that. And when you go to messages, as you can see, messages, and this one is not dark theme as well. So Samsung definitely has done a better job with making sure applications are dark theme. Now when you go to stuff like calendar, all that stuff's dark theme, and this is actually a little bit darker. You kind of have a gray or dark theme right there, but they both do a good job at dark theme, especially when you hop into settings or whatever. Everything is pretty much dark. Samsung kind of has like a gray color scheme going on, so it's like black and gray, and this is pretty much dark, but you still have all these vibrant colors right here. So I think this actually looks darker, but as far as the applications being optimized for the theme, I think Samsung definitely has more applications optimized for it. Now let's talk about gestures. So the gestures are exactly the same this time. So Samsung did have different gestures. Let me turn this Wi-Fi on. And yeah, they're exactly the same. So you have the same swipe up kind of thing going on. Where things start to differ is that you see a different layout. So I think this layout, like the carousel layout, is prettier, but this one gives you a bit more information, I guess. So you kind of have to choose between like which one you think looks better, but this one does, I guess, gives you more information because you can see more stuff. But you know, I can see 2 apps, and then on here I can see a full screen. I can see up to 3 apps. Now on MIUI as well, you have the cleaner, security, scan, the deep clean, and you can manage apps from here. Also, you can access the split screen, of course. If you hold this down, you get app info, you can go split screen, but you have a really cool pop-up thing. So let's say I'm in the banking app, I pull up the calculator, do some quick math. That's very cool to have. I can also change the transparency of that application. I can minimize it, have it like that as a little floating bubble, pull it back up. So very cool, something you don't have on MIUI. And of course, like I said, you can go split screen from here as well. Now on MIUI, to be able to switch between applications, I don't really like this method that much. So you kind of have the back buttons right here, forward buttons. And on One UI, you can just sort of slide your finger down here to be able to seamlessly switch in and out of applications. Now if you go into these settings and actually change it, you can actually switch to the applications like that without having to use it as a back button. You just have to hold it. So you do have that option on here, and then you can go back, of course, like that. So you know, you have to kind of pick and choose which one you prefer. They're both very good. I just think the One UI's 2.0 is just a little bit more polished, a little bit smoother. Alright, so if you swipe all the way to the left, you do have on One UI, you have Samsung's page right here. I guess it's kind of like the Bixby page mixed with a bunch of news, and you have all these kind of widgets and stuff that you can play with. And on MIUI, you have the same kind of concept here. You have stocks and stuff. You can add widgets. You do have the Google search bar right here, which I really love that they included that there. But you know, you have shortcuts. You can get to applications. Now, which one do I think is more useful? I guess One UI 2.0 is a little more useful, even though it's kind of cluttered and everything's kind of like, it's just a lot going on here. I usually prefer Google Now on my devices, but you know, neither of these have it, so you know, on that page. But you know, it is very good. It's not you know, it's useful if you use it. I don't really use this, so if it's not Google Now, I usually just don't even bother swiping over here, because I like the news and stuff to be tailored to what I'm looking at. This sort of gives you just like random stuff, new stuff that you kind of have to go and edit. You don't really have to do that on the Google Now. But As far as Bixby, a lot of people like it, some people hate it. I'm just kind of neutral. I don't really hate it or really like it that much. But they're both these pages are useful. So now, as far as the status bar, as you can see, I just have way more stuff on One UI 2.0. As you can see, way more stuff you can add. And if I click edit here, you can see then it'll bring up the full page. But as you can see, I just have access to more buttons here. And if you see, if I just drag all the buttons here, it's still not as much on the first glance as you will be able to see on One UI 2.0. So I really like that as well. You've also got the media button in devices here, which I really like. So that's a really nice addition that they threw on there. Now let's check out the additional settings and the additional features on both. So we have Bixby routines, the Bixby key. We have some options for color text on other devices linked to Windows. We can mess with the smart pop-up view. Like I said, screenshot and recorder, we have that. Direct share, reduce animations, motions, and gestures. So we have all these motions and gestures. We're not going to go through all of them, but we have the lift to wake, double tap, smart stay, a smart alert, the fingerprint gesture, so we can use the fingerprint to swipe from the notification, which is pretty cool. And you have that also on MIUI. So if I wanted to use my finger to swipe down to get to the notification tray, I can do that. Palm swipe to capture, and we also have the swipe to call or send messages. Now on MIUI you have your full screen display, and then here are all these shortcuts. Now you have a lot of options to do these shortcuts. As you can see, I can do all these sort of combos, whichever one I prefer, which I really like. You just have pretty much more options here. So for my Google Assistant, if I long press the home button, power plus the home button, I just have way more ways I can get to certain applications. Turn off the display, I can do all these things. So as you can see, you kind of have more options with MIUI 11, which I really like. Show menu. So you can see you have all those options, which is really nice. Automatically disable navigation buttons. Press and hold the power button for 0.5 seconds. That's the one I keep it on, and it brings up the Google Assistant. On here, you can just use the gesture, which is just as easy to bring it up. You just swipe from the corner. Alright, so we have one-handed mode on both these guys, and as you can see when I go to it, you can see swipe left or right from the home button to pull the screen closer to one side. If I change this, 4.5 inches, 4 inches, 3.5 inches. And on here, if you're using the button, you would just swipe down from the center bottom of the edge of the display, or you would double tap the button. So if I wanted to get to it, I would just swipe down. To get to one-handed mode, I would just swipe from the back button, and you can see there it goes. Now when you do the gesture, it's a little bit easier, but I usually like using the buttons on both these guys. I'm usually just hooked on the Android buttons, but they're both very easy to navigate. As you can see, you can hop from settings, you can switch it from left to right. All those options are on here. So there's another cool thing you can do on One UI 2.0, and you can do landscape on here, which is great. So if you want to go ahead and do that, you can. Now you can't do it on here. I haven't been able to find it. So if you can do it on another device, I don't know, because I have the Note 8 Pro, but I haven't been able to find that setting in here. So I don't think you can do it on MIUI. Now as far as typing, for the stock keyboard, you have Samsung's kind of keyboard on here, which is great, and you also have the Google keyboard. Now I usually use the Google keyboard, but Samsung's keyboard is great. It has a nice layout. You got the mic setting right here. Everything's pretty much the same, and you can always download and replace your stock keyboard. But so for stock keyboard, they're pretty much the same. Now let's check out how we get to customize our device. So if I go to, wallpaper, go to wallpaper here, I get taken to MIUI, the MIUI 11 store, and if I go to wallpaper service here, yeah, you can go into the Galaxy Store and download themes. I just think that it's just a little bit more cleaner on the MIUI to be able to access those themes and stuff like that, because you have to go to a separate themes button. And I just like, for it, if I want to set a wallpaper, then I want the wallpaper to, like, the wallpaper store to come up. I don't want to go to the Galaxy theme store. I just want to set it from there. But you do have those options on both of them, so it's not really a big deal. It just comes down to personal preference here. If we go to display on both, you can see very similar settings. You can hide the notch on here. You have the edge screen on here, and that's another thing I want to talk about is the edge screen. Now, this is something I don't really use at all, but you do have that for your most recent apps, so you can go ahead and access those if you would like to. Now, as far as the layout, I do think One UI 2.0 is just overall easier to find stuff. Most definitely when I'm trying to look for stuff, sometimes you can get lost in MIUI a little bit if you haven't used the device a lot. I feel like if you pick this phone up, it'll be easier for you to be able to find everything. I just like how everything's organized, but like I said, this is all personal preference stuff. You might think that this one is just easier. It really just comes down to your personal preference. So what do you guys think? Which one do you guys like more? Which look do you like more? Let me know, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.